Okay,
The meeting is
we
now
are
streaming live on
starting.
YouTube. Yes.
So you? Okay,
Okay.
Mooney, take it away.
My name is Muniba Kasi. I am from Pakistan. I am principal editor of Fourth Wave. Today we are talking about sexism and racism and some kind of mixtures, or we can say that the things that happen to women in workplaces. Not many of my medium family knows that I have a master's degree in biotechnology. And why I'm not practicing biotechnology, there were many like things like in my city there was no proper place for women to work, but I did work for 2 years, where I saw that my male colleagues never took me seriously, like never. They always said that, oh, you are just women, you don't know anything about it. So I was stuck in cubicle system there, and not even labs. They were not allowing me to have any lab work there. They said that women can do this. We can't trust this type of like heavy work, or we can't trust. There are very expensive instruments there, where there are very expensive things there, and women will somehow make it like destroy it, some kind of this. So I was like, I like to say that I was like some kind of ghost there in my office. So I just quit. And now I'm freelancer writer with biotechnology degree. Okay, so in my article, I was talking about the women who is I call her princess because she is princess with not crown, she is princess with lab coat, and she was born in 1920. Her name was Rosalind Franklin, and there was also things um, like she was like some kind of ghost too. She was very intelligent and very intelligent, and in World War II, she made a big breakthrough, and because of her, the gas mask was invented because of her work. Like she was um, like very intelligent, but no one was thinking about this. Everyone at that time too, everyone was saying only good thing, or only good thing that is going for women is to get married. If she is married, she's successful, like in many of South Asian countries. So the DNA structure was the blueprint of DNA structure was invented by her. Like she first took the picture photo, which is called photo 51, and it was taken by her, but her like it was stolen by two men, or three men. It was Maurice, they call him that Maurice. He was very jealous of her because of her work and because how women can do this kind of work. So he stole our picture of photo 51, which is DNA structural picture, and he give it to the Watson and Clark. Anyone hear about them? They are
Yes.
called they are called
Only from
like,
only from your
yes,
article, yes.
yes, they are called like founder of DNA structure or DNA, and they quickly give this blueprint to nature then they published their work there, and there was no name of many times. Then again, when people found out that the real work was her, then like now she is again people are trying to recognize her because of her work, but she was like forgotten princess. And in South Asia there are many peoples like this. There are many, like no one is um, in South Asia, women scientists are very low in number. Like in Pakistan, there are, I don't know any of them because of two things. They are ignored or underestimated because they are women. Like everyone are thinking that if she is women, then she can do this. But and um and another thing that is when she is their work is not taken seriously unless the West says it's so important. When people say that when people say that she is from Oxford University or she is from this or this, then oh, then she did something. No, oh, so West is saying. So things like that is going on. So I want you people to tell me, are there anything you noticed on your time or life, this type of sexism in your places or your workplaces? And I want you people to introduce yourselves, then tell me about it.
Okay, if you
Okay.
don't, I'm Patsy Ferguson. I am the editor-in-chief of Fourth Wave, and we are sponsoring this event. And I was very interested in this story because my daughter is a scientist, and I taught journalism in high school for a while. I'm not a scientist, but I learned it from a student about a similar thing that had to do with CRISPR. You know what CRISPR is, Muniba?
Mm,
It might have a
yeah.
different name in your language, but it's a genetic um, editing.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes, Christopher. Yes, yes. Okay.
And so apparently two women, including one from UC Berkeley, which is, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and one from Berlin, who were working together, they discovered it first, and they applied for a patent. But then a man at Harvard also discovered it, or maybe, lots of times I think with science, things are happening in labs at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. They're kind of moving together.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid extra to get their patent expedited. So because they had more money, they got the patent first. And then when someone wrote the story about it, they tried to completely write out these two women as if they didn't even have anything to do with it. But luckily, this was in 2020. The two women were awarded the Nobel Prize. So the scientific community validated them. I think this is a good sign that things have
Yeah.
maybe changed a little. I don't know how much, but it's a fascinating topic, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm sorry not everyone is here. Mona was supposed to come, and also Uwana. I have heard from Uwana that she's having some tech difficulties, so I'm not sure if she'll be able to join us. She's going to keep trying. I hope she can. But I'm glad to be here.
Okay. My name is Suma Narayan, and I'm the poetry editor of Fourth Wave. And I'm very glad to be here because it's the first time, and I've seen so much about all of you joining together, and I've felt, oh, I need to be part of it. But then The problem is, since I usually live in Australia, so the time difference is far too much, and that means getting up at 4 in the morning. So I don't mind getting up at 4 in the morning, but then all the neighbors will wake because it's a very silent place, you know. It's not like India, it's very silent. So if you breathe too deeply, people hear it in the next house, you know. So I try to be as quiet as a mouse over there. So I'm glad I'm here and I can actually talk. Now, what you mentioned, reminded me of my mother. So she was really, really brilliant, as in she could translate. My mother tongue is Malayalam, so she
Okay.
could translate Malayalam into English, and she could translate that into Sanskrit. You know,
Mm.
so she was a postgraduate in Sanskrit literature. So the thing was that she got the highest marks among all the people who had applied, who had written the exam. But since she was a woman, they reduced 1 mark so that she wouldn't get the first class, you know? So
Yes.
that was really hurtful, and I don't think she ever forgot it. She became very bitter after that, you know? That somebody
Yeah.
would actually reduce your mark instead of increasing it just because you were not a man. You know, that really hurt her a lot. And she had a lot of she really struggled. My mother really struggled in the world of men because this was in 1960 and 70 and everything like that. And she found all the time that even if she was really, really good, a man would be given a preference, a man would be given a promotion, and she had a very bad time. But luckily for me, since I'm an arts person and I dealt in
Mhm.
literature, and not many men come into that field, I didn't have a problem. But it's in the science and the mathematics field, men think that they know more. And there's always a tendency to look down upon a woman who's doing the same kind of work. I've noticed that in my college, the university I used to work in as well, the way they used to
Mhm.
belittle women and say that, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, I know better, and things like that. And the
Yeah.
way they used to act with them, even in the staff room, that used to be really horrible. So I know what you're talking about. And I've heard of many inventors through history who have actually done things, but their inventions were taken away by men, and men got Nobel Prizes for that, just like you mentioned in your example. So this is really bad. That was. I hope things are changing. I hope
I
people
hope.
realize what is what. But I don't know whether things have actually changed or it is just on the surface.
Can
Yes.
I ask where your mother was based? What city?
She was also in Kerala. She was in Kochi. She was having a job which was transferable. So every 5 years or 10 years, she was transferred from one part of Kerala. Sometimes she was in Chennai. Sometimes she was in Kerala,
Mhm.
etc. She went all around the place. And when she retired, she was the principal of the Air Force Central School in Coimbatore. She was a very extremely ambitious person, but she was a working woman at a time when all women were sitting at home looking after their children. So that
Mhm.
she had to face a lot of flack because of that. Yeah, that was terrible. So that was in my own life what I've seen with my mother.
Oh,
Hi, Star.
Luana is coming.
Hello.
Yay!
Oh,
We're so glad you
where?
could make it, Luana. Hooray!
Who's her? I'm
Where's
having
she?
issues with my
Oh, hi.
network.
Hello. Hello. I'm
We're
Suma.
we're just responding. Muni opened the meeting and she asked us to kind of weigh in on the topic, which is women not getting credit for their work, not getting respect in the place. And Harpreet was just going to go next. Pardon me if I said
Yeah,
your name
no,
wrong.
that's okay. Yeah, so I'm Harpreet and I'm based in Canada, in Vancouver, but I lived in different provinces and can say that I've had very different experiences based on the province and the city that I've been in, which I think is really, really important because I don't want to speak for all Canadian women. But what I can speak of is for someone like me. So I have different types of identities that really have shaped my experience in the workplace. Yes, I'm a woman, but I'm also a racialized woman, or what is called by federal census, where you do the whole check the box to indicate who you are, and I would be considered a minority. But I'm also Indigenous on my mother's side. So my mother is Inuit Polish, and my father actually immigrated from India to Quebec, so a French province. And, one of the questions that Suma asked is, or a statement she made was, has things changed? And, she's really hoping that things have changed. And I would say, yes, they've changed, but the flavor is different. So in the sense that from my experience, the racism or the sexism isn't as obvious. It's subtle. And within certain contexts, so I'm in the legal profession, or I actually am not in the legal profession. Sorry, I've stepped away from that, which is a whole other conversation that I can talk about if you're interested. But I work for a university, and because folks have the language and they're really good at defending themselves or denying behavior, then it's become sophisticated, and it's hard to identify, and you also feel a bit crazy. Well, am I making this up, or did this just happen? And some of the barriers that I've experienced is being asked to do things that are not part of my job. I don't know if y'all can relate to that. And really checking with yourself and saying, well, why am I being assigned this? But being told it's good for me to do. And just questioning that. So that's one of the things. Not being provided with mentorship opportunities and opportunities to advance. And if you speak too much, or you speak too loudly, quote unquote, or you have innovative ideas that surpass anyone else in the room, you're kind of silenced or told later that that's not something that you should do. And I think the pressure of just fitting into a box, like neatly into your own box, which I have found throughout my career to be quite exhausting. So, I mean, in a nutshell, those are some things that I've experienced. But yeah, what I've really taken from your article, Photo 51, is, I wish in a way, and that what women experience in the workplace was just obvious, so you could just face it head on rather than have to. You're almost gaslighting your own self and like questioning your own self about what just took place. And I don't know what's better, like the obvious blatant sexism, or the subtle stuff. But yeah, that's who I am. I'll pass it over.
Okay. Do.
How about you, Uwana? I know you told a story previously about a senator who was completely disrespected on the job in the Senate.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself first?
Okay. Esther Wana Edit. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm an editor at Fourth Wave. Okay, so I don't understand the question, though. So what's the question? I'm sorry, I came late.
Mooney, do you want to restate your question?
Okay. So my question is, in workplace, did you find something like this kind of sexism in your life
Yeah,
that where no?
definitely. When I was working as a teacher in a school in my community, and I discovered one day that the men were paid more because apparently
Yeah,
they
yes.
are the providers, they have more responsibilities, like women are being taken care of. And yeah, that's one of the blatant ones. And there are a lot of more subtle ones, but yeah, definitely. I do experience sexism in workplace. And
So do you
actually,
mean that?
like, that was one of the reasons I even left because it was like for them to even do something like that, you can imagine the minor things they were doing. Like they made it known that the men are responsible for taking care of families and women are not, so the men are being paid more, yeah.
So can I interrupt?
Yes.
Okay, do you mean that in the same school, men are paid differently
Yes.
and women are paid
Yes.
differently in the same
Yes.
school?
Yes.
Oh, oh. Nobody says anything about it. I mean,
No, it's a private school, so it's run by a private, like private
okay,
independent,
okay,
like they're
okay.
in charge.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes,
wow.
this is main problem in South Asia too.
No,
That
we never had that. I mean
oh,
that particular thing in the same university, in the same college that I taught in, or the same school that I taught in, we were all paid the same as men. You know, it was the same structure.
no, no.
It's
Also,
and
there is like
like generally. It's even a
Okay.
conversation that is currently happening on Twitter, like Nigerian Twitter, where there was a stat or something that came out that said, oh, at the end of the year, now all these saving platforms, they said women save more than men. So it started a whole conversation of if women are being being providers in the house. And a lot of bosses came out to say, yes, this is why they pay the men more because women
My
keep
God.
their money to themselves and
Oh,
the men
wow.
spend it on the family.
Okay. That's strange. Yeah. Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, one thing we talk about here in the U.S. is that careers that are traditionally held by women are paid less. So, for
Yeah.
example, construction workers are paid more than teachers. Teaching is a, and if a career starts as a male career, like secretary was originally a male career, but once women come in and take it over, then
Yeah.
the pay goes down. So I'm
And
hoping.
like they're trying to make nursing like not a professional cause which is very weird because apparently it's female dominated now. And Trump is trying to do that.
Yes, we've published a couple stories about that. And I'm going to keep track of the stories we mentioned and put links in the description after the event. But yes, that Trump now wants to make nursing not professional. In fact, already has designated it that way so that people trying to become nurses can't borrow money at favorable rates from the government. And that's because it's a woman. I mean, we have to assume that's because it's a career dominated by women. And it's too bad because I've just had a big experience in the hospital. My granddaughter was in the hospital 21 days, and the nurses are running the show. We saw a doctor very rarely. It's the nurse who's providing the care for the sick people, and it certainly is professional. They know how to run all the machines and take all the measures and make sure the person is getting better. Um, so yeah, it feels like blatant sexism to demote that career. And also it's, when you do come upon a male nurse, I find that um, they're wonderful people, and it should be a career open to men as well as women. It shouldn't be sexualized. I mean, why do we say this this career is for men and this career is for women.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because in Canada we have a shortage of medical professionals. So we have a shortage of doctors and nurses. And so a lot of the recruitment efforts have been, immigration recruitment efforts. And so a lot of the nurses are racialized, and their experiences with sometimes patients can be quite rough in the sense that they're not taken as seriously, or if they have an accent, they're not treated uh, with kindness and respect. But we do often see nurses are our first point of contact when we have an issue, right? And they do what doctors do. And I think there's a bit of a turf issue we see in Canada where, um, doctors feel like nurses are overstepping, but they're overstepping, if you want to put it that way. I don't think that's so much of the right term, but they're overstepping, if you want to say that way, because there's just not enough doctors. And it's incredible how much more they do outside of the scope of what they're supposed to do, and the long hours and the night shifts and all of that. But one of the things that you mentioned, which was really interesting as well, is I've looked up recently just because I was curious to see how the legal profession has changed, and there are actually more women now that are going through Canadian law schools, but the retention rates is the issue. So the average time that a woman will practice being a lawyer is about 5 years. So things have changed in the sense of the barrier to entry maybe has widened, but then the actual sustainable solutions to keep women in the profession, or to encourage women, or for women to feel that they have dignity and respect, and all of those things have not really changed. So women in the legal profession leave for a number of reasons, and one big reason is bullying and sexual harassment. And then when they do decide to have a child, they're not seen to contribute to the place, like to the organization or to the law firm. So yeah, it's we can do one thing, but then if we don't think about the 5 things ahead of us, then we lose people who are very qualified and really good at what they do.
I think that penalty that women in professional women sometimes feel for having children and for wanting to have time to take care of their family, some accommodation. As feminists win those rights, it really is a huge benefit for men as well. I mean, the whole corporate idea that you're supposed to give your whole life to the company and just ignore your family is wrong. And it needs to be changed for everyone, not just for women. And I remember my cousin, a man, told me that when he got married, his wife told him she wanted to have children, and he was like, "Well, okay." He didn't think he would care that much, but once he had them, he loved them so much, and he really loved participating in their lives. But he had the kind of job where he was gone from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. And, when my daughter has children, she also has a good job, but she's not going to make that kind of sacrifice. He kind of made it because he's told, yeah, this is how you be a man. You work hard all day long. You bring home the money. Well, you know what? That was a cheat for him. He didn't get what he should have gotten all the time. He could have gotten loving and nurturing and being with his children. So I really think feminism is a benefit for men as well as women. We're helping to push this culture to accommodate all people in more humane ways.
Here in my like I experienced another thing which I want you to say, that if any of you experience it too, that when I am like doing edits and doing my job, So some people, like, they are not very important to me, but they are family too. but but they're like, and they said, you're just playing around, like you're not doing anything, like this is important for me. If And this was main reason I quit my job at that time, that when I came home, that there was like, come, let's go there, and let's go to this relative home, or them. They did some kind of dawat, like it's gathering, some kind of gathering, like let's go to this dawat or that dawat. I was, I will say that I'm going to prepare my presentation, or I'm going to do this, and they're like, what are you doing? This is not your job. You're just playing around. I was like, so this is another thing that we face in our society, or our houses or our homes, that they don't take our job seriously. If we are doing anything, they are seeing that we are playing, or we are not contributing. And any of you people found this type of experience in your life?
So what used to happen was, when I used to go to, I'm very fond of dressing up. Let's make that very clear. Very fond of dressing up, and I have to have, if I'm wearing a sari, for instance, the blouse should match, the earring should
Mhm.
match, my tikka should match, my hair should match, and if it is a sari with a gold border, for instance, I need long earrings, and it has to go this way, this way, this way, etc. I love those things. So my
Mhm.
mother-in-law used to get very angry with me. She used to say, back when I was in school, teachers never used to pay so much attention to dress. They used to just wear their sari at the gate of the school and all. Why are you taking so much time to dress? She used to be so annoyed with me because of this. She's telling, you should not be worried about the way you look. I said, I'm standing in front of 120 teenagers at a time. You
Yeah.
don't think they'll notice if my sari is this side or that
Yeah.
side? I mean, that is what they notice first, you know? So I
Mhm.
used to be very particular about dressing. So it used to be like, why are you bothered about dressing so much? You're supposed to go and teach. I said, I have to feel good to teach,
Yeah.
right? That's more important. And then we used to have solid rows, and she used to have rules like, okay, you're married now, so you don't wear any more jeans, you don't wear salwar kameezes, you should only wear saris, because now that you're married, you have reached a different status altogether. So all these things are out of the question for you. And how much I had to fight, to just to be able to dress in what I wanted. And this was after I got married. Of course, it was inside this. And then, women have a tendency to um, to inflame other people and get them to their side if that's what they want. And my mother-in-law is very good at that. So she used to say, you are not fit to be in a family. She used to say things like that to me. You're not fit to be in a family. You're not fit to be in a family of good people like us. I mean, meaning that I'm a very bad person, because I'm insisting on dressing or looking a certain way, wearing lipstick. I had to fight so much for wearing lipstick. So that was all there. So if it was a man, and my husband could dress as he wanted, he wear what kind of shoes he wanted, wear the kind of clothes that
Yes.
he wanted. Not that he was interested in dressing, I was. So anyway, so he's okay. Whatever he's wearing is okay. And
Yes.
women should not be worried about their dresses and everything. And that used to translate to every part of Indian society, for instance. So it used to be like, okay, you're dressing so well because you want to attract men.
Hmm.
We're not dressing to attract men. We're dressing for ourselves. I mean, I dress because I like the way I look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
what's wrong with that? So I used to have solid fights in the house. Solid fights in the house, because you're not supposed to be worried about the way you look, because only certain kinds of bad women like dressing like that, etc. It used to be so derogatory. But I fought and I won. Feel very happy about it.
Amazing. Yes. I find in the workplace that I've been in, white women are taken more seriously than, BIPOC women, so Black women, Indigenous women, or person of color. And I found that in those spaces, I was often mistaken as a witness or a client or interpreter. And so I wish that, and looking back, that I could just dress up because I wanted to dress up, but I wish that I could dress up like a lot of the white women in the office, which was to wear these boots with laces and jeans and a t-shirt and be taken seriously. And I found the labor intensiveness of having to dress up to be taken seriously quite exhausting and quite performative, having a certain voice, making sure you're heard in a certain way, you're perceived in a certain way, to be able to do your job. So the flip side of that for me, that's quite interesting. I have had like the flip side of that where I'm like, man, so nice today if I could just wear those jeans and the t-shirt and, not have to put the whole thing together. Um, yeah, within those spaces, and really envying and finding it quite unfair just because of the way, my name or my background or the way I look. I can't pull that off. I can't pull it off.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. That was sad, yeah.
Yeah.
That you can't dress the way that you want because of the way people perceive you, that's
Yes,
really sad.
exactly. Yeah.
That's really sad, yeah.
Yeah.
I've also had that experience where my work is belittled as if it's not important. And I would say, particularly this work we're doing now, the fourth wave work, when I had a paying job as a teacher, not so much. And I find I just have to directly state, and usually that does work for me, but this is important to me. Aren't you proud of me? Isn't this an achievement that I have relationships with people all over the world, that we have a magazine with 53,000 followers? Isn't this something? And just because I don't have a boss issuing a paycheck doesn't make it a small thing. So I think, it's harder for women to just get that respect that men get automatically. And sometimes we just have to say, respect me, respect this. This is an achievement. This is an accomplishment. And this is what I want to do. This is what I care about.
I'd say also other experience, but like being expected to take time off because I still live with my parents, and maybe something like my older brother who is busy, who is also working, is supposed to be doing something, but he's going to work, so he cannot do it. And I'm also supposed to go to work, but like I should not go to work because his work is more important than the one I'm doing.
Yes.
Call like
I've
I'm
seen that. Oh,
because
yes.
like
Oh, yes.
to go
Mhm.
to, and I do not have to, that kind of thing. Yeah. And also, just in general, I feel like one way women's work is belittled is that it is categorized as supporting. Like, when men go to work and they earn and they bring money back to the family, it's providing. They're providers. But when women do the same thing, it's they're supporting their husbands with their role as providers. So I think that's a more general belittling of women's work. Yeah.
That's true. The language really matters.
Yes.
To say, they're both bringing home money, and to
Yeah.
say one is this and the other is that.
Yes.
Is not true.
There was this movie called North Country. I don't know whether you've seen that. It is about a woman who comes to a mining town, and she's started working in that setup. And the amount of harassment that she had to face, and then she finally went to court, and one man stood up to support her. It was a very beautiful movie. If you can get to see it, please watch it. It's really edge of the seat kind of movie. I don't remember who was acting in it. I remember how much it impressed me because of the way, how true it was to actual situation. Even now, you feel things have not changed much, because in India, for instance, you've got the men's cricket and the women's cricket, but the men's cricket is always looked upon well, and they get a
Yeah.
lot of money in terms of advertisements, sponsorships. Women are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so
how it is
unfair.
all over, maybe
It's
all
so
over the world.
unfair.
Women's
Yeah.
sport is
Yeah.
sponsored men's sport. Yeah.
That's
And
that's been true in the US, but recently there's been a change with women's basketball. Women's basketball has become very popular. I don't know what happened, but
Okay.
now they get the crowds, they get the salary, and also
Good. I'm
women's
glad.
soccer is pretty popular. But yeah, before it was, yeah, you don't get the money because nobody's coming to your games. Nobody's watching
Yeah.
your matches on the television. So why should we pay you? So that kind of made sense. It was hard to argue with that, but now it's shifting. And I remember Mona's story about her dad is a tennis fan, and he ended up wanting to watch women's tennis because he found them less emotional than men and more professional on the court. Not
Oh,
just
sweet. Okay, that's
Mm.
beautiful.
it was
That's
beautiful. I
nice.
loved that story. And actually, she
Okay.
cited several some science that supported it, that said high profile women, or high, I forget the term, but anyway, women in pressuring positions are calmer and cooler than men, according to some studies. They make good decisions.
Mhm.
Yeah. So one indication is the number of countries which are ruled by women who are doing really well.
Mm-hmm. Good
Who are
point.
presidents and prime ministers of countries, especially Italy. I mean, that woman is a powerhouse. I really admire her. Really
Wonderful.
admire her.
Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about her. What's she doing?
She is, her name is Georgia Meloni, I think, and she takes such tough decisions. So the things that people let go because of you need to be politically correct. She's nothing about political correctness at all. She said, this is what my country needs. This is what my country people need, and this is
Yes.
what I'm going to do. End of the matter. You can say whatever you want. I really admire that woman. I like people like that. Yeah. Don't care
Mhm.
what people say. I feel this is right for the country, and this is what we are going to do. You can say everything you want. So many other people, I think, I think even in Norway, Sweden, or Finland, I don't know, one of them has got a woman a ruler, and she's the same. Even Jacinda Ardern, I think her name was, New Zealand, the PM.
Mhm.
I can't forget, she came to, she wasn't she the one who came to work with a babe in arms?
I
Was
believe
she the
so.
one?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was one wonderful person. Yeah. Even one of the prime ministers of Australia, what is her name? What is
Don't
her
know.
name? What is her name?
I don't
My
know.
God, she
I
was. Mm. Yeah,
uh,
sorry,
I
Bunny.
remember, but I'm not good with names.
Oh, I'm horrible with names.
Here in Nigeria.
Julia Gillard. Julia Gillard. Yes, that was her name.
Okay.
Okay. Here in my
She gave
country,
the. Yeah, I'm
I think
sorry.
maybe less than 3% of women in politics. And they even wanted to make a law this
Hmm.
year to keep
Hmm.
women out of politics, because
Oh.
there was this senator. She was harassed by the Senate president, and she
Oh.
reported it. And they said the case was judged by the Senate president himself, and he found himself innocent. Obviously, was the judge, and they said she was being too emotional.
Okay.
So because of this woman, because she was being too emotional about the whole harassment, they said this is proof that women should not be in positions of leadership, they should not be in politics. So if a woman wants to enter politics from now henceforth, I'm so glad it was not put in motion. Not that to make it law. She has to go like emotional, like they have to check that she can control her emotions through tests and all of that. Very weird.
Very
Wow.
weird, very weird, very weird,
Yeah.
extremely weird. But this is what men say, actually. You know, women are historical, they're very subjective, they can't think objectively,
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. I'm sorry, Patsy, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Well, just I'd love to see men take that same test. Whatever provocations they were going to do to the woman, I'm sure
Yeah.
a man is not going to sit there and accept it calmly either.
Yeah.
Oh, not
So
at
you're
all.
saying it didn't pass, though,
No,
right?
because there was a lot of outrage about it too.
No,
They just had
that's
to,
good.
yeah.
It's nice, thank God. Sanity prevailed here.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like even for that one woman to get into leadership, it was very tough. Like they really keep the politics for just men, because the like a night before our election, because it's a constituency election, because she's representing a constituency like Kogi State. The road to the place where they're supposed to vote was dug up. So like there was an earthquake overnight, so that people would not be able to pass to go vote. Like
Oh
they really
God.
much as they could, so this woman does not contest. And because from the whole like the way everybody was reacting, it was clear they were going to vote for this woman. So they did not even want people to like be able to go and go and vote. So they dug up the road that led to the place, so they would not be able to pass. She had to go to court and like fight and everything for them to move the election dates and repair the road.
My God. Playing
Yeah,
dirty doesn't get anything any better
something
than
else.
this. Oh, wow.
Well,
Okay.
this is a little bit off topic, but I'm just curious, Uwana, what your reaction is to US President Trump taking some military action in your country.
Honestly, like we've been going through a lot with regards to security. Like the country it's quite a mess. Like people are dying every day. So it's like we need some kind of intervention, but I don't know about that kind of intervention. I don't know about
Mhm.
that kind of intervention. So, and obviously, I don't think Trump has the best intentions. Like every country is always going to be more like they're going to be more like on themselves. They're going to look out for their own best interests. So I don't think is in the best interest of Nigerians. But like the country is, it's quite a lot. Like for since as long as I can remember, we have been having terrorist attacks like consistently since I was like really little, and like right now it's becoming a lot. I'm sure when the stats for this year, when they update the stats for this year, is going to be in the thousands. Like thousands of people have been killed this year. Just recently, about was it 200 girls were kidnapped from school,
My God.
secondary school and primary school girls. So yeah, like the security situation in the country is quite terrible. And we need some kind of intervention, but not that kind of intervention. And there's also talks that our leaders are also complicit, like they
Okay. Mm.
for a for a institution to have lasted this long, like it has been years. It has been since like I was really little. I can remember being like in secondary school, maybe I was like maybe 13, and also another case of schoolgirls being kidnapped. I think that was the first one. It was Chibok girls. I don't think they're up to 100. It was the old thing, and they never got. Some of them escaped. Some of them were found, but this was like months after. Some of them were found pregnant. Some of them were
My
found with babies
goodness.
already. Some of them were
Oh
found
God.
married to these terrorists. So it's an old thing, and it has lasted for so long. You cannot even travel between states in the country anymore because of how terrible the security situation is. Like, I could not even go to my state, to my village for Christmas or anything, because you cannot travel on road. You will get kidnapped. Like, it's the whole thing. They're always kidnapping people. The terrorists are always kidnapping people and asking for ransom. And the government is not interested in paying your ransom. Like, there's this program we do after graduation, university graduates. We have a 1-year compulsory service to the country. And they target those, like they call it NYC. They target students who go for NYC, because they believe that, oh, if your parents are willing to sponsor you to university, they should also be willing to pay the ransom. Like, it's a small investment after the university. So they specifically target NYC students because they know the parents are going to pay. And what the government did, instead of addressing it in a better way, what they did was they wrote in a handbook. In the handbook they give to the NYC students, that if you get kidnapped, like, they just etiquettes about being kidnapped. Don't fight. Don't struggle with the kidnappers. Don't tell them where you were posted to, because they don't want you to expose the organization you're working for. So they don't try to collect ransom from the organization. So just give them your parents' phone number so they collect the ransom from your parents. So it's quite terrible over here. And we do need some kind of intervention, but I don't think Trump has our best interest, especially if he's sending bomb to the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry to take us off topic, but that was very interesting. And I love hearing from someone instead of just reading what the media is
Media does
saying.
not say anything. They do not say what is happening. And I don't know why. Like, it's all like, you have to hear the news yourself. The media does not carry, because I feel like they're being sponsored by the government. They do not carry what is going on. Like, this one has been going on for so long, and they don't talk. Like,
Maybe the news channels are owned by the government.
Yes, when they started talking was the only time they actually spoke up was actually when Trump spoke. When he said, I think that was maybe last upper month, that if the government does not do something, is going to intervene. That was when the media started carrying news relating to insecurity. They carry very meaningless news headlines. It was only when Trump spoke up about it that was when they started speaking up about it too, because he's like, oh, they're looking at us now.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if a woman was in charge, if she would be protecting those children. I mean, what do they think? Why doesn't the government feel responsible for protecting students?
They obviously care. There was this particular incident where, imagine in an entire community, like, they were sleeping at night, and then this terrorists went and they burnt the entire place. Like, it's everybody. So, like, an entire village was wiped overnight. So it was a very big deal. They macheted some people, they burned some people, but, like, basically everybody was wiped out. Everybody died. And there was no word from the government. There was no word from our president. There was no word from the governor of the state. It was the Pope that spoke about it. And then after the Pope spoke, the president spoke. And it was like, oh, he has some engagements. So, like, when he's free during the week, he's going to go and check the situation over there. So they do not care. They do not care. And they don't even try to pretend like they care. They are very blatant about the fact that we do not care about you guys. So
wow.
They always wait for, like, external intervention. Like, when somebody says something, it's like, oh, we have eyes on us now, let's behave. That kind of thing.
It's really tough. My God.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I hijacked your topic, Muniba.
Sorry.
No, it was very
It's
interesting.
very important.
It's necessary to know. Yeah.
Well, it does look like our hour is about up. I don't know if anyone wants to say something to close before we we turn off the live stream, and then if you want to stay after, we can debrief a little. Does anybody want
Maybe
to
we
say?
need to ask ourselves what we can do to change the situation for ourselves as well as for other people, if we can help in some way, you know. So one way out is, of course, writing about things, you know, through pubs like Fourth Wave, for instance, you know, write things about because the kind of articles which Fourth Wave carries, I don't think other pubs on Medium carry because Fourth Wave doesn't seem to be afraid of ruffling a few feathers, you know. So you kind of post things as they are, and I don't think see other pubs doing it because most pubs would rather be safe and politically correct and talk about things which do not you know, hurt other people or which will not be thought of as politically incorrect. So I think we are going about it the right way by, even if we can't actually constructively probably do something, at least we are telling people that these are the facts and you need to be aware of them. And probably by writing about and propagating what we think is right, other women can be helped. I think that is definitely a good thing because, you know, until I read such articles or stories, I do not know that other people feel the same way as I am. So now there are
Yeah.
so many of us talking about it, and then we realize, you know, that whichever country we belong to, patriarchy is the same, men are the same, and whatever dress they wear or whatever they look like, finally they always have this urge to kind of subjugate people who are not men, you know, whether it is women or other genders, and you know, anything that they think is weak, they try to crush. So that seems to be the thing in every society. So we need to fight for ourselves, number one, and we need to fight for other people as well, because we can only go forward together or sink together. One person
Yes.
alone cannot rise above things, you know. You need to know that you can and that you should help others as well. I think that's the right way that we are going about it. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that idea.
yeah, I
Mm.
agree with you. Like speaking up about these things, like you would think your voice does not matter, but it really does. Because like if everyone collectively keeps quiet about it, it should look like it's okay. But as
Mm.
many people as can like speak about it, it really does matter. So writing about it, speaking up about it, anywhere you can. Yes.
Right,
That kind
spreading
of
awareness.
reminds me of when Me Too happened, and you saw the breadth of the problem of child molestation, and before that, I knew it existed, but I didn't think anybody cared. I knew women were being raped and forced to have sex on dates and as children, and but I didn't think anybody cared. I never said a word, because it seemed like society didn't care. But once somebody started talking, and then this flood of people came out, then it seemed like change was possible. So voices really do matter. And I also would like to say, when you're in a work situation, if a woman or a child is being bullied, it's not hard. It's really not hard to activate that protection instinct. I think women, all these movies have men as the big protectors, but I feel that women have a much stronger instinct to protect the weak and vulnerable. Uh, and just do that, step up. I remember a lot of people just want to keep their heads down and not draw attention, but I think we need to train ourselves to just step up and have courage, because I think we do have it. We naturally have it. We just need to express it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also close off by just saying I agree wholeheartedly with what everyone is saying. And I think for me, what's been quite amazing is I've been able to process my own experiences in a way that's given me clarity, so I know what to do And I think and sometimes in these situations, you're in so much survival mode. You're just trying to get through the day, or you're just trying to get through that incident. And then it just becomes kind of a cycle, of just getting through, but without that pause and being able to reflect about what happened. And writing has really allowed me to think through things a little more deeper than I otherwise would have. And I'm a new contributor to Fourth Wave. I've just started writing, I think, I don't know, it's been like a few months. And it's been such a gift. So I would also say to folks, something's calling to you, just start typing or start writing, because it's really liberating.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And what I think about what I want to change, or what when I was pregnant, so I wanted a boy, not because this South Asian thing that girls are not good or this or that. I always wanted to have a boy, to make him a man, like I want, like I wanted everyone, every girl, every mother to get. I wanted to train him, like I wanted him to do all the cleaning and washing dishes, and like wash clothes, all the things that are like we were forced. Like we are 7 siblings, and always, like Oana says that my work was not that important. My
Yeah.
brother work was more important. And look, your brother come, and I was very tired, and this, go give him dinner, and no one asked
Yeah.
me about.
How was your day?
And I wanted my son to do this. I wanted my son to do this and go when my daughter, like in my imagination, that when my daughter comes, I want to say to my son, go give her dinner. She's tired. That's why I wanted to have son. So I think mothers can make this change. I think, I don't know. I am now I am traumatized because of my whole experience of motherhood. So I don't know. I want another kid, but so I don't know. So I want every mother to do, like, I know you can do something about it. I know you can change the mindset of your
And it changed from like the
family.
beginning.
Yes, yes, I know mother can do this. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
And now
Thank you.
Patty is
Thank you. Had a
going to
wonderful
see.
time.
Okay.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place. And Awana's up next. So once you decide what story you want to focus on, we'll make an announcement on the YouTube site and on the Fourth Wave.
Okay, I'll think
Okay.
of
I'm going to end the live stream and then maybe stay on. We'll talk for a second.